Zil Parker here. Today I just want to talk about two comic books I just read. They're crossover comics. I always loved crossovers, whether I really even know the comic characters. I just like the premise of a crossover. You know, I've talked about like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles practically crossover with everyone. So let me show you what I read. The first one is Youngblood X-Force. So I rated this a 6. I read it in one sitting pretty much, a real short. The artwork is really cool. You know, it's got the classic 90s style. Youngblood, I've read a little bit about them, and they're a pretty interesting team. They make connections. I think they might even meet up with Invincible at one point. That don't hold me to. I don't know for sure. But so Cable, the big thing is Rob Liefeld, like something. He has a big part in making these. You know, he made Cable, he made Deadpool. I'm pretty sure he made Youngblood. So, super cool crossover in that sense. Story-wise, I found this one a little bit confusing. Basically, the premise is Mojo World. Mojo World is like attacking the Youngblood universe in a sense, trying to get more ratings. And he ends up sending the Youngblood team to the X-Force world. And so they start fighting at first, or maybe it's that the Youngblood team is in Mojo World, trapped for his TV show, and somehow Shaft ends up going to the X-Men world, fighting them until they realize they're not each other's enemies, and so they get together and go fight in Mojo World, or the Youngblood world. I don't know. Like I said, the first one was a little confusing, so I rated this a 6 out of 10. Fun crossover, semi-interesting story, and just it's cool to see them together. You know, you got all your typical characters from them. We got we got like all the X. I really don't know X-Force that well. I know Cable and Domino; those are the main characters. Then there's a Long Shot. I think Sunspot's in part of them. Shatterstar. There's like 5 or 6 characters. But Dazzler's really not seen that much, and Sunspot, I hardly even noticed him. Kind of looked like Nightcrawler in that one to me. But anyway, so that was the first one, 6 out of 10, right? And then this one is the sequel, you could say. It came out a month later. This one literally was born, or came out 3 months after I was born. It was like July 1996, and then this one came out in August 1996, so I was like 1 month later. This one I rated a 7 out of 10. The story was a lot more clear. Basically, after the Youngblood team was sent back to their own world, Bad Rock and them, they wanted to go save the Marvel world. They were like, yo, we can't leave them like this. So Cable and the X-Force team, they go to Mojo World to try and stop Mojo on their own, but then the Youngblood team shows up to continue on the battle. Overall, it's pretty good, but at a certain point, one of the best things for me in this, good artwork still, but one of the best things for me is Bad Rock from Youngblood and Caliban from X-Force. Together, they're these big, giant, bulky dudes. Bad Rock is really funny. Caliban is kind of like dim-witted, maybe, the way he talks, like he speaks in the third person and everything. So overall, their dynamic is really fun. I would love a spin-off series with them two connected together. But that aside, basically, they finally both teams get to Mojo and are ready to take him down, and he ends up self-destructing his own castle or palace, or however you want to label it. And then basically it kind of ends from there. They're like, hopefully Mojo's dead, but we don't know. And then we just see Mojo saying, but wait for the sequel. So clearly Mojo's alive, and it ends there. But there was never any next thing made. So, it was kind of just these 2 books. So that kind of let me down a little bit. But otherwise, I thought it was a fun read. I love a crossover, like I said. So even though it wasn't as satisfying as I wanted it to be, still pretty good. So the second one, I rated a 7 out of 10. So, yeah, if you like either of them 2 teams, you should definitely check that book out, or either of those books out. Thanks for watching.